This video has been a long time coming, but I am finally building the first modular to go into Lost Credits. In this video, I'm showing some of the build process, sharing my thoughts on the bookshop, and discussing any adjustments I either made or I'm thinking about making as I integrate this modular into my Lego city. So the set includes 2 of these base plates, and that's what you would normally build on. But because there's nothing here that could connect to the mills plate, we're just going to build right on top and do it the exact same way, but integrate the building in that way. I think it makes sense. We'll see. So the early part of the build sets up the infrastructure for the sidewalk for the build. And the first thing that I can think of is you could easily swap some of these tiles out to like medium nougat or dark red to have more of like a brick type of sidewalk to replicate like an old town feel, which is a part that I want to put in the city at some point. But for now, I want to build this modular and just kind of learn the various techniques as to how they're doing it and then kind of adapt to my own style. So the foundation for the building is set, and I noticed that they want these Technic pins set in because you're going to connect this building to the next one. And because you have the mills plate here, that's going to be pretty hard to do that with the lack of space. So rather than do that, because it'll be impossible to do after the fact, I'm going to replace those Technic bricks with these 1x2s instead. I think it'll give me more functionality down the road rather than being glued to the fact that these buildings are attached. And then obviously I won't need it on this side because I can have more spacing to have a road or have a sidewalk or a litany of other things. So that's a quick change that I'm making from the start. And so now the next building will just come right here seamlessly, and it won't be interconnected via the Technic brick. It'll just be right next to it. I think it'll be fine. We'll find out when we're done. So the first thing I'm noticing as you build upwards is that it's quite like an actual building. You don't want to layer anything directly on top. You want to stagger them. So these 2 bricks right here, and then you have the separation for this plate, and then it's repeated all the way throughout. That makes complete sense to me, but immediately I would not have thought about that, I think.
Well, I thought it was obvious.
So I'm done with the first bag, and just a few things that I thought were interesting to call out. This is the first piece of furniture that goes in the bookshop. It's this counter. I love the way that they added in a molding here through the use of one of the ingot pieces. And then you have a cash register here. And it's designed really simply using kind of a slope, but it makes a lot of sense. It's perfect. I don't love the color of the interior tiles, but it doesn't bother me enough that I'd want to change it. I also don't necessarily know what I would change it to, like maybe a dark red if I had the pieces for it. But then I need to change everything. So I'm probably just gonna leave it as is. And then here you have this space for this planter box, and you're supposed to have a tree that builds up, but it does take up a lot of space. So I might remove it for now and kind of see what I do with it. I might also take out this Technic piece and put in one with a single hole, because then I could put in like a plant. That will be a problem for future Zane. And now we'll get to move on to bag 2. The build process for this bag was pretty straightforward. The stone archway and bookcase were fun to build and had impressive designs, but what really caught my attention was the way the stairs were constructed. Instead of a typical design, they fan out in a spiral, which is a really creative build technique. This is the part of the build where I really began to notice the lack of interior space. They pack a decent amount in, and I love the patio, but it makes me want to expand the building to add to the story. One thing I haven't mentioned yet is how secure the set is. Each floor is connected by either 2 or 4 studs, and yet it's locked in pretty well. Okay, so you can't flip it like I tried here, but overall, it's surprisingly sturdy. The exterior design is unique, and while not a repeat from floor to floor, blends together seamlessly. And a shout out for the nice parts usage with these microphones. I love seeing pieces repurposed in unexpected ways. Overall, I really enjoyed building the bookshop. I could not have asked for a better introduction to modulars. I do want to make some of my own changes though for the Lego city. For example, I want to lengthen the building by probably 4 studs. And on the side, instead of the apartment the set comes with, I want to build another storefront that's connected to the bookshop. After I expand the bookshop, I want to move the chair down on the second floor floor, and then build in a secret entrance to a speakeasy bar using a sliding bookcase. I also want the bookshop to be in an old town part of the city, so I think I'll swap out the current design of the tiles into a more cobblestone look. I'm not sure if I want to connect the patio or what any of that would look like, so if you have suggestions for that or anything else as far as expansion goes, leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.